welcome to the program. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194. That's the big number to call. That's the one everybody's dialing. That's the one where you get a hold of the lovely and talented Sheila Hittner, and she will be happy to have a chat with you about your health and wellness needs. And that first call, of course, is all with no cost and absolutely no obligation. 651-775-9194. Okay, we're talking about the four pillars of a healthy home: the real estate, the ecosystem, your body, your mind, all the things that go into your happy, healthy living environment for yourself and your family. And we're thrilled to have Michelle Hamburger on the program, part 3 of a 3-part series that we've been doing on natural health and wellness. We talk about health and wellness every week, but this is a special series that we're doing. And if you haven't listened to the last 2 shows, they're on Spotify, they're on YouTube, they're on all the socials. Go check them out. You'll be glad that you did. All right. So in the last couple shows, we've been talking about, we talked about, how you got started in the deal and how you got, your education and how you came to start your own clinic and the consulting work that you do in the cancer area. So if you're interested in that, I encourage the listeners to go back and listen to those 2 programs because they're insightful and very good information delivered on those shows.
I have a question. Can I butt in?
I'm on a roll here, and
Okay.
now you're interrupting my train of thought here. A stream of consciousness I was doing.
All right.
And now it's like being woken up from a dream. Go ahead.
Because of listening to the past 2 shows, if somebody gets that diagnosis or is dealing with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
they can reach out to you and you consult them and really be their advocate, because I think that it's really hard when somebody hears that word to, their life has just changed, to be able to have that calm person, that third party person that doesn't have the fear, right? To be able to really calm them down and go through their Western or their holistic or together consultation and what that looks like for them. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is that once people hear that word, they just don't even know what to do or who to turn to.
Yep, they stop listening. For a lot of people, just stop. It's so shocking. It's fearful. I mean, there's a lot of fear in it.
And those doctor's appointments can be scary, overwhelming, and all too quick to allow somebody to get their wits about them and process it in enough time that they can ask good questions. So I've had people who've reached out to me and said, in a couple of weeks, I have an appointment with an oncologist and an oncological surgeon. Are there any questions that I should be aware of, or how do I approach this? I'm really scared about this. And so I can kind of prep them for those appointments, or after they're done with the appointment and they call me up and they say, Michelle, this is what they said, this is what they're wanting me to do. Do I have any choices outside of this? I'm super scared. I can walk them through all of that. So just a big part of it is, like you said, being an advocate to guide them in their conversations and in their decisions, so they don't feel like they're doing them all alone.
Do you ever go with them?
I haven't been invited yet. I wouldn't be opposed to that, though. I have noticed that some doctors, both on the eastern side and on the western side.
You're right. I know where you're going.
I've seen it with other naturopaths, with other NDs, with other chiropractors, that when another practitioner comes into the space, if they're not comfortable and secure in who they are, they can feel like I'm there to undermine them. They can feel intimidated. They can feel like I'm there out of disrespect for them. And so often it's better if I just prep them before and after they go to the appointment, and then afterwards I provide a review.
Do you ever ask them to record their doctor's meeting, only because they're already fearful. How am I supposed to remember everything that you're going to tell me when my brain is cancer, I'm going to die, wherever the mind is going, that how do they have a clear mind to really hear the doctor? And the reason why I ask that is because I have a friend that when she goes to the doctor, no matter who it is, she records absolutely. And it's only because she knows herself and she knows she's not going to remember anything. And then she takes it home and she plays it with her husband and they listen to it together. And, so that's the main reason why it was on my mind to ask you that.
Yeah,
because you're in a fearful state, and how are you supposed to remember all that?
I haven't told people specifically to record because I don't always know what the rules. I mean, you have every right to record.
Well, as long as it's sitting out there and everybody knows it.
And everybody knows that you have every right to. I haven't necessarily encouraged that. I've encouraged them to bring somebody along who can be their note taker.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
To really take notes down so that they've got somebody to bounce that off of. Somebody who can walk with them on that journey so that they're not walking into a scary appointment all by themselves, because there can be times that you can feel really pressured.
Yes.
Like both, again, Western and Eastern side of things. If a doctor lays out a protocol for you, this is what I want you to do, sign on the dotted line. If you're by yourself and you're scared, often you'll just go, whatever gets me through this appointment, and you sign on the dotted line. And so having that second person there, it's like it gives you a moment to pause. Well, now wait a minute, that doesn't quite make sense. Can you explain that to me? And then it gives that patient some peace of mind.
And if they've chatted with you and met with you previously, they'll at least have some questions, or have been able to formulate some questions that they can ask. When you go in there cold, you don't even know what questions to ask.
You're just blindsided.
Blindsided, and you know what you're going there for, obviously.
Then you always think about them after.
Yes.
Millions.
On the way home. 10,000 questions
and unless
I should have asked.
Yeah, and unless you have an oncologist who has not a busy schedule, which those don't exist.
No.
Right, that doesn't
The likelihood
exist,
of you getting in and being able to address that, it's impossible. So you've got 15 minutes to get in there, get all of your questions answered, all of the details figured out, and be on your way. And hopefully you don't have an $800 copay waiting for you.
Right. Right.
And in the defense of the oncologist, they're seeing however many people a day, with the same or similar cancer, and they've had this same conversation 100 times this month, and so they just want to get through the thing too.
Right.
I mean, let's be real. Just from a human, they just want to get through the meeting.
Right.
Because they're going to deliver this information. It's the same information that they delivered 20 minutes ago to the guy or gal that walked out of the room before them. And they're not really, in most cases, I don't think, in the mood for a bunch of questions.
No.
And so the way that the information is delivered in such a way, and I might be being unfair, but I probably don't think so, in such a way that it doesn't elicit many questions, right? It's more matter of fact. This is the way it is. This is what the odds are. This is the protocol.
This is what we do.
This is the standard of practice that we use, and they don't go outside that, because in their own defense, if they do go outside that, they can get sued.
Right.
Because they didn't follow the standard of practice set up by the American Medical Association, and they open themselves up to a lot of liability there, and they're just trying to help people too as they go through.
It's a very rare oncologist who's more functionally minded.
Yeah.
And if you find them, or if I hear of somebody who's connected with one, I try to get all their contact info, because then I know that in that tri-state area that's around them, if anybody speaks to me before they meet with an oncologist, I point them in that direction. I say, that's he or she is who you want to talk to, because they are open to the greater conversation.
Right. And Mayo has a functional oncology program, and a couple of docs down there that work in that area, but they have 10,000 doctors, and they got 2 of these guys.
Right.
It's very small, kind of a practice to use. So when we come back, I want to know about some kind of a standard protocol that you would use to get people started.
Okay.
You've got some issues, so this is step one, this is step two, this is because we all have protocols. We all have, kind of ways that we approach a problem, and we have to standardize them. Otherwise, it's chaos, all over. And not everything can be individualized to the point where you don't know what the individual is anymore. This is Our Healthy Homes. OurHealthyHomes.com, 651-775-9194. OurHealthyHomes.com. We got to go out and take a break, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, OurHealthyHomes.com, with the lovely and talented Sheila Hittner. I'm Keith Hittner, Senior. 651-775-9194. That's the number you want to call, 651-775-9194. Or even better yet, go to OurHealthyHomes.com. OurHealthyHomes.com. Sign up for the Muffin Top Meltdown. The Muffin Top Meltdown. Sheila, what is that?
That is a program that I take you through to help you reduce your muffin top, and it requires a bunch of different things. It isn't just going to be food, and it isn't going to be exercise. We talk a lot about reducing our blood sugars. We talk about the damage of the parasites and the cleansing, and your organs need to be cleansed because we're toxic, and so your body is in auto bloat. And the organs and things like that need to be cleansed so that they can function better. And when the body functions better and you feel better, your body and your mind can work together.
Auto bloat. Okay, Michelle Hamburger.
Yes.
Let's. I want to hear about the protocols. We mentioned it when we went out to break that everybody's got a standards. They've got a pattern. They've got a way that they approach a
first
problem.
Line of defense.
First line of defense. So tell us about that. Like lifestyle changes, food changes, food awareness. Just how does that all unfold itself as you talk to people?
Right. So let me just preface by saying that I don't believe that there is one particular cure-all or fix for cancer.
No.
You see people, and a lot of doctors can get on board with this, where they'll say everybody needs to be on blah, blah, blah. Everybody needs to be doing this and this and this. And I understand the benefits of it, and I think it can be beneficial for many people, but we're all so different from each other. And the circumstances surrounding somebody developing cancer is going to be very unique to that individual's environment, stressors, organ function, genetics, what their current diet is. All of that is going to be very different to the person who's sitting right next to them who's been diagnosed with the same exact cancer. So just like I disagree with Western medicine's standardized protocol for everybody who fits within that particular subheading, I feel the same way about people in the alternative realm.
Right. Not everybody's going to eat blueberries.
Right. And not every person is going to be healed from that malady by eating blueberries.
Correct.
Though blueberries are absolutely wonderful and have so many health benefits. So there are themes that are common amongst everybody that I work with. But, excuse me.
I like that, themes.
There are general themes that are common, but as far as specifics, that's where you get down to, well, we had talked about it a couple shows ago about applied kinesiology, or lab testing to find the specifics that work for one person as opposed to another. But there are 3 areas that I try to focus on as far as getting somebody who's really never done anything before started. And the first one is cleaning up and focusing on water.
Water is huge.
It's life. Water
is
life. And water can be nourishing and water can be toxifying. It all depends upon the type of water that you're consuming. And so if you're drinking tap water, you're getting liquid into your body, but you're not making yourself any healthier. If anything, you're making yourself more sick, because typical city tap water is full of so much sludge. There's a picture I saw, I've seen several of them out there, where they were replacing the piping for the city water. And the piping was full of this brown
gook.
Sludge.
Gook is sludge.
Slime.
Yes.
And you're just going,
Google it. Yes.
Yes. And that goes right through
into your glass.
And we're none the wiser.
Right.
And so,
and we're getting the remnants from people's prescriptions, and like I think all the people, fentanyl. Like, I mean, my mind just starts to like go, right?
Totally.
And it's so bad for you.
Yep. Our filtration system is not capable of filtering out all of the exogenous hormones that are in there. You can't filter that out. So you're getting hormones, any sort of, we're not keeping up with the number of, medicines that are out there. Pharmaceuticals are coming through. Chemotherapy.
Oh, right.
All of that's going into the water system that is bypassing the filter or overwhelming it. You can go, and I'm going to forget the website, I should send it to you, but there's a website you can go to where you can look up in your specific city what chemicals are already at levels that are over what the EPA would say is safe, and which ones are specific to your tap water. Not saying that you need to know that, but if you're drinking that water, it might be good to know, I'm getting a little bit of this in my body. That's great. What's that going to cause? And every single one of those chemicals, because I did a big research study around all of the major water systems in the Twin Cities.
What's worse?
Every single chemical overage that was in our water all had ties to cancer. Every single one. It was like, this chemical causes cancer. Great. And we're not filtering it. So
then I go, to, well, then all the people that are buying the bottled water. Right. So then I go into, now you've got the plastics, and then you've got the endocrine disruptors that are in the plastic, and then
right.
So it's like this vicious cycle of, how do I just get good water?
It is a vicious cycle. Most grocery stores have an RO, bulk water filtration system. So you can go and pay, I think it's maybe 30 cents for a gallon of water, and you can fill that up. That would be a great option. Having your water delivered, that's often RO, would be a great option. Otherwise, getting a reverse osmosis system would be probably one of the better methods, or distillation. So
we have a distiller.
Distilled water or RO, all of that makes your water clean.
Yep.
So those would be the options as far as cleaning it. What I am starting to learn, this is newer for me, is taking that clean water. So clean tap water is dead and toxic.
Right.
Cleaned tap water or filtered tap water is clean, but it's still dead.
Right.
And it's still, in many cases, with many chemicals or toxins in the water, filtration won't remove them. So you got to get a lot of especially if you're getting like
the refrigerator one,
like a refrigerator filter or something like that,
Brita.
Or even some of the ROs. The filtration doesn't remove everything. The only thing that removes everything, we have Frank Mendez on the program. We have him on about once a year. We have him on. He's a national speaker on water and a consultant to cities on water. And he said the only water that is perfectly clear of everything is distilled water. It's the only one that can do it, because it's the distillation off gases all the bad stuff, and that's it. But filtration is better than nothing.
And I would say RO is a
and
quick second to
and then
distillation.
It's like, well, okay, now how good can I have the filter be?
Right.
Because what our experience has been with ours, and we have a distiller, well, you can't have whole house distillation.
No.
So you're still going into the shower. And
opening up your pores.
And opening up your pores and pouring this toxic city water
right.
to be absorbed into your skin.
Right.
Right. And those filters that you get for the shower head, they're meant to last maybe a month.
Yeah.
And then you have to
and nobody ever changes them over.
You can't. Often you don't change them out that fast. That's pricey.
Yeah. Right. That too. And so your water bottle here that you have, what does that do?
So I've been learning more about structured water, or what this company WEO calls augmented water.
Okay.
So water that you get from an aquifer, a stream, or a living well where it has a good water source, that's living water. So water actually carries a vibrancy and a frequency to it. There are studies, if you've ever followed anything by Veda Austin, or there's a Dr. Emoto who talks about the frequency of water, that if you expose water to different music, to different, even like environments, like angry environments, or water that's been treated with a bunch of chemicals, it actually is a deadened water. And even though you clear out those chemicals, that water hasn't been in the living environment of our Earth's core. And so it's no longer living water, it's dead water. Well, if you only have access to filtered water, you don't have access every day to living water, you're not walking out to your well of pure spring water and getting a gallon of that every single day to drink. There are companies that are trying to recreate a structured version of water so that what you're drinking is more bioavailable to your cells or recognized as living water. And so this company, which is called WEO, W-E-O, has developed a diamond point and boron technology to augment your water so that it changes the molecular structure to make it more akin to living water, so that your body actually then reabsorbs it the way you would if you were drinking spring water.
Which then the body would thrive better.
But doesn't pure H2O, isn't that, I mean, that is water. I mean, that's water, H2O. If there's nothing else in it, isn't that water?
It's water, but it doesn't have the living properties that it would have on a molecular level as it would have when it's coming out of the spring.
So if I take my distilled water and I got Sheila saying, Keith, empty the dishwasher. See, that's damaged the water.
Very much so.
Okay, this is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194, 651-775-9194. I want to talk about sugar and the liver. Okay, so Sheila's feeding me this line that there are good sugars and bad sugars. So explain that one to me, because I've asked her about it many times, and it's like I'll have something and oh, that's bad sugar. And as she's eating an apple, that's basically sugar.
Okay, I did. Let me just send her the message.
Okay.
What I say to him is it's simple sugars in a fruit versus bad sugar.
Or she'll say, it's
in
natural.
that ice cream, or
it's
that
natural.
or that whatever.
Well, it's more natural than pure white cane sugar.
All right.
Well,
she's going to
refined.
I know. So that's
she's going to tell me.
That's how they make it pure.
Just like pure white flour that can stay, undisrupted on a shelf for months at a time without changing at all. That's been hybridized and genetically modified. And
so you talk about your relationship with food. And sugar is a big part of that in our culture, because there is sugar in absolutely everything. High fructose corn syrup. I was watching a video the other night on, it was a gal who was in her combine, and she was harvesting corn. And it was really, I loved watching it, because here she is, she's got this $1 million machine, and she's harvesting corn. And it's like, well, how more natural can that possibly be? It's so natural. And I said, well, it's genetically modified corn, and it's probably going off to the plant to make high fructose corn syrup or biodiesel, one of the two.
Yep.
Because no one, otherwise it should be fed to cattle. And it's like, geez, and a high fructose corn syrup, we know, well, most people should know by now, probably not the best thing you should be eating.
Right.
So how does that, when you talk about lifestyle changes, explain that.
Well, I don't have a problem with people consuming fruit, which is probably where Sheila's getting the whole basis of her argument for healthy sugar. But where I think that even fruit can become problematic is if it's like the only thing that people are consuming.
Fruitarian.
Well, yeah,
Fruitarians.
kind of. Or people that have a sugar addiction. Because fruit, fruit can be hybridized even though it's organic.
Sure.
So organic, the label means that it isn't genetically modified, but that doesn't mean that over time, the apples that we consume, the oranges we consume, and the bananas we consume haven't been hybridized to be a style now that has a higher sugar content.
Right.
So the majority of those types of generic fruits that we always get at the grocery store, the majority of those have so much of a higher sugar content than what we originally had when we were eating the heirloom variety. And that's where that term heirloom or ancient, that kind of original grain or that original food source comes from. is that it's before it was hybridized into that perfectly spherical, apple with no problems on it whatsoever,
Right.
that has a higher glycemic spike in it than some of the, the sugary stuff that you might get in the food aisle. Like, you're supposed to be going back to what originally we had, which was lower sugar content foods. So like, now I'm losing my train of thought.
Berries.
Well, yeah. So berries, blueberries, raspberries, some strawberries. Strawberries have been hybridized too. They tend to have a lower sugar content. It's also important to consider eating fruit as a whole fruit rather than juicing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
juicing is hard.
Yes.
So that has been an interesting part of, and I'll bop back again to the whole cancer world, is that Gerson and many other doctors within the alternative spectrum push juicing, because they say that you just immediately absorb it into your system. You don't have to expend the energy digesting it. And I agree with that to a point, because if you juice apples and all of these other high glycemic fruits and you're drinking that, your glycemic index is, your blood sugars are flying through the roof. Spiking. And it's been shown that cancer feeds on sugar. It's attracted to it. Welcome to the radioactive glucose that's used in a PET scan. That's how you find the cancer, is you give a person this gadolinium and it's attracted to the cancer site because cancer cells are more metabolic. And so sugar is an easy metabolite that you can consume. And so it lights up on a screen. So fiber balances out the sugar. So if you're eating an apple, even if it's higher in its sugar content, because of the fiber that's in it, that balances out your glycemic index. So however many grams of fiber, it pretty much zeroes out that number of grams of sugar.
And that's where they get that
consuming.
net number
Yeah.
always on the label of things.
Yep.
Okay, so where, like, I like my fruit. I don't like to put it in a smoothie. I don't like, because I just don't like it that way.
Right.
You want to chew it.
Yeah, I want to eat it, right? And so, because there's the almighty internet again, and we all know, you can see Gerson, you can see Hope for Cancer, you can see, medical medium, like all these people out there that are talking about juicing, right? But really, just kind of what you said is that I'm going to take that and I'm going to go home and I'm going to juice the fruits that I like.
Right.
Not the fruits that I should be juicing for what you just said about the fiber and the sugar balancing.
Or the vegetables that you
Or the
probably
vegetables.
could be juicing
Right,
instead,
kale.
that
Yes.
have a much lower.
Right.
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
greens, celery, cucumbers, things like that are going to be much easier on your blood sugar levels. Yep.
So, did you have a question?
Go ahead.
So the sugar, I mean, you talk about food and you're going to,
Right.
with people, I got to believe that's probably the hardest part people have, is changing the food, because they've gotten such a loss of what food really tastes like, because most people don't eat real food.
No, they don't. And you have to retrain your taste buds and your body to accept that. The food that we eat that's highly processed does a very good job as a neurotoxin, essentially, or an excitatory toxin in our brain, to train us to have that, that dopamine response. When we consume those foods, that triggers a neurological response in our body, as opposed to, this bland food that is out of the earth that doesn't have that same immediate neurological response. So refined food is designed to create that immediate brain connection.
And so there was a movie or a documentary where they went into this family and the girl couldn't really talk that much, and she'd been on junk food and sugar and like all the stuff, and they took everything out of her cabinets, and they worked with this family for a month, and the withdrawals that this family went through from eliminating everything out of a box and a bag to like things that they had to prepare, like broccoli. Like the girl would not eat it, and she's went through horrible withdrawals. She didn't eat for like 2 days, but by the end result of after 30 days, everybody was feeling better. Everybody had lost weight. She was talking, and so do you speak to people about what that outcome of changing that food is really going to look like for you, more than the food is bad, right? Like what you're eating is bad, but like get a positive in there to balance out the negative that you're talking about taking away.
Yeah, I think if people are really dealing with something serious, then they tend to understand that even if I don't necessarily, if it's not palatable to me, that doesn't mean it isn't going to be good for me. If somebody is open and willing to talk to an alternative practitioner, to some degree, they're willing to make changes, even if it only starts out as a minute change. Mm-hmm. And so my hope is that I wouldn't have to sit there and argue with them and convince them to make that change. It's that, all right, well, if we...
They've come to you because they want to make the change.
They want to make the change. They might only be able to
make a
couple at a time, but once they begin to feel a little bit better, it motivates you to make more, and all of a sudden that cascade turns into what it is.
By the inch it's a cinch, and by the yard it's hard. It's simple, just one step at a time, baby step it, forward. And the heirlooms you mentioned, the heirloom fruits, the heirloom vegetables, actually taste better.
They really do. They have such a variety. They really do,
because you see tomatoes, for example, or oranges. Beautiful oranges, beautifully globular shaped. They're gorgeous, not a flaw on them. And then you peel them and eat it, and it's like it has no flavor. It just doesn't have any flavor. This is Our Healthy Homes. We got to come back for one more segment. OurHealthyHomes.com, 651-775-9194. OurHealthyHomes.com. Get on the bandwagon. Do the Muffin Top Meltdown. Everybody's doing it. It's the thing to do now.
You got a song written yet?
Yeah, I'm getting one written up. We'll be right back after these messages. We're here in the studio with Michelle Hamburger. This is the last segment of a 3-part series.
Yeah, crazy.
3 shows we've been doing, and we're going to wrap it up because I want to know about, I'm a supplement guy. Mm-hmm. I take a lot of supplements. I have no idea what they do for me. Sheila just puts these bottles out and says, take this every morning. So
if I could get him to muscle test, he could muscle test himself every day, but that's
I'd probably eliminate half of them.
We're not there. You might not need them all that day. It's
okay. I don't
do that. But that croissant.
I don't do that. I'm like this is my routine, so I just do this.
Yeah, right. Okay, it's
every
better
day.
fine.
If I have to any fluctuation, I get mind boggled.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us about supplements, and as far as your protocols go, we have to change our lifestyle. I don't even want to say that because then people are going to get all whipped up about it. I don't want to change my lifestyle. You have to make some minor changes in how you eat, maybe some of your food choices.
How you address your emotions.
And they're all just little changes. Little changes along the way. It's like a lever. A little change over here gives a big result on the other side of the pole. So with supplementation, it's the same thing. Our food, I'm understanding, because of the extreme hybridization, crossbreeding, genetic modifying, it just doesn't have the punch that it had for our ancestors.
The physical ability, goodness.
So our bodies aren't absorbing what they could be absorbing. So in order to give us the nutrition that we need to heal, we need to add some stuff in. What are some of the basic things that you would say, look, you got to do this?
Right. So the 3 things that I'd said I typically try to encourage patients with, or clients with, not patients, is water, clean up your water, and then we didn't get to actually say the other 2, clean up your food, which we talked about a little bit in the last segment, and then clean up stress. As far as supplements go, I encourage after that. And the supplements that I think everybody could be taking would be a type of a whole food multivitamin. I don't believe that you need to take the entire dose. So this is where let me take it back. I don't believe that we should be taking the full dose of every single one of our supplements that we take on a daily basis, because what we can't absorb, we then have to detoxify.
Oh.
So you want to be careful that you don't throw so many supplements into your system that you overwhelm your liver and your detox pathways trying to get supplements out, when some of those toxins that you've stored in your muffin top or in other parts of your body that your body's needing to address, but because they're tucked away somewhere, you're not going to deal with it until you have to, that your body isn't going to focus on that because it's too busy trying to get rid of excess supplements. So multivitamins, multi-minerals for people who live up in the northern hemisphere, away from the equator, a vitamin D for sure during the winter. And vitamin D is best absorbed when it is taken along with the other fat-soluble vitamins, so A, E, and K. So if you can find a source of D that has those other 3 vitamins in it, that helps them to be more bioavailable. So I find that to be very important. And then beyond that, I don't have strict recommendations. I really tailor it depending upon the person. I work with a pro athlete right now who has asked me to help him with some of his supplementation, and a big part of that has to do with taking supplements that help with maintaining his tendons and ligaments and muscles, because he is expending so much energy every single day during his workouts. And so that gentleman needs more supplements,
of course,
than I would say the person who is doing more of a desk job
Right.
and is eating a decent diet maybe, but
Yeah.
is just taking their normal supplements. They don't need a huge swath of them because they're just not expending that kind of energy. So I have to, again, tailor it to the person and what their lifestyle is like. Otherwise, you're really just throwing money down the drain.
All right, so I'm sure you've noticed that I'm glowing. and
Like
and
a
so-
newborn baby.
and I eat mostly carnivore.
Okay.
So I eat a lot of meat, and I mostly eat once a day.
Okay.
It's just kind of my routine. I find if I eat a large meal at like 4 o'clock, through between 3 and 4 o'clock, and it's mostly meat, I'm good. You know, I don't get hungry, and I feel strong, I feel powerful, I feel all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then other people say, "Oh my God, you know you're going to get sick and wither away because you don't have your vegetables, you don't eat the fruits," and it's not like I just eat very little of it. Lots of cream. You know, in our refrigerator we don't have milk. I have heavy whipping cream.
Okay.
And I will drink heavy whipping cream. It's just I like it. And if I do have cereal, it's einkorn cereal, ancient wheat cereal, very little, and then but heavy whipping cream on it. It's just so good. And then
I do that too.
tons of butter and tons of butter. So
You like butter with your butter?
I like butter on top of the butter.
Right,
I'll have a
exactly.
burger and I'll put a pat of butter on top of the burger
you
and
go.
let that melt with the cheese. So good. But no bread. I mean, I don't eat bread, you know, and I don't eat that. So is that an unbalanced diet?
It's difficult to say because if the meat that you're eating is grass-fed,
The cheapest meat I can buy.
the cheapest meat
Yep,
that you can buy.
Absolutely. Sam's Club
Merk,
special.
where's the
So
buzzer?
good.
I so doubt that would
It's-
work in your marriage.
I don't eat it.
Yeah, she doesn't eat it.
See, that's the deal. Is I like you get grass fed, you get like organic sugar, you get the good stuff, you know, and I'm with you. But I am not eating that.
Otherwise, you're not.
I'm
eating
not
it.
eating it.
So, are you being serious that you
Yes.
get the cheapest that you can buy?
Well, it depends on wherever I go. Like if you go to Sam's has like burgers. I love burger, just ground beef. Well, they've got grass-fed ground beef patties,
Okay.
you know, that are organic, you know, that are frozen.
You're getting better at choosing, at making better choices when it comes to the meat. You are getting better at that.
I was going to try to juice a prime rib, but it plugged up the screen.
It did work.
And
Yeah.
it didn't work
Probably
out so
did.
good.
You might have to blend it instead.
Yeah.
If
So
you-
back to the question
meat shake.
with it does make a difference on the meat, right? On the quality of the meat.
It does, because what the animal is fed is what you end up consuming. So we are if we eat meat and eggs, we really become what those animals have consumed. So if the animal is consuming genetically modified corn and grain, which is a big part of what they feed standard CAFO animals, then we're, by way of their food, we're eating that same thing. So we're actually consuming those GMOs via the meat that we eat. So I do think that if you're going to eat more of a carnivore diet, keep it really, really clean, because, I mean, those cows, look at the muscles and the bone structure on those types of cows that are out in a field, getting sunlight, absorbing vitamin D, they're breathing fresh air, they're moving. I mean, they're strong, and all they're eating is grass.
I have some butchers that I follow online, and so they run cattle through their butcher shop, and they had 3 cows lined up. One of them grass fed, one of them traditionally stock raised, fed, and another one is a wasagi or whatever it's called.
Wagyu.
Yeah. Fully Wagyu, and the Wagyu weighed almost twice as much as the grass fed.
Yep.
Because of all the fat in it.
Right.
And then the corn-fed one was the same. It was about, on that side, I think it was like 300 or 400 pounds more it weighed. And then the grass-fed was so lean on the cattle. I mean, it's lean.
Yep.
And it's like, well, if you get I suppose you can just put butter on it.
You could.
Yeah. But I find that the grass-fed, the flavor isn't as good as, and you have to be careful of, is it grass-fed or is it sometimes full grass-fed is different than finished.
Yes.
Because they'll put them out in the pasture for the summer and then just right before they go to the market.
Oh, that's what the finish means.
They grain finish them at the end to just add a little bit more fat to their body, which changes the flavor a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of that depends upon
the farm,
the grain that they're feeding them. Are they feeding them an organic type grain, or are they feeding them genetically modified garbage?
Right. And that's where the important people get fooled by grass-fed, but grass-fed organic, grain finished, that organic then means that they've given them organic grain at the end.
Yep.
So got to read the label, kids.
Yep. And if there isn't a good label, like let's say you go to the farmer's market and that's where you get your meat is from a local farmer,
sure,
then it's all about having that conversation, because many small farms that produce phenomenal food, it's too much money to get that FDA approved organic label.
Right. Yes.
And there are loopholes within organic too.
Yes,
I would say for standard food, is organic the way to go? Yes. But if you can narrow that window down a little bit more and go more local even, and build a relationship with that farmer, then you really can understand, all right, they're not organically certified, but that doesn't mean that their food doesn't far surpass what that organic certification would be
in terms
because
of
of their regenerative, sustainable standards. Yeah.
Last minute thoughts, anybody?
Last minute thoughts are just get started on your journey to a healthy environment. If you have cancer, if you don't have cancer, whatever it is, if you got a muffin top especially, that's a leading indicator that something's wrong in the way you're eating and where you're going. ourhealthyhomes.com, and the lovely and talented Sheila can help you out with that. 651-775-9194. Michelle, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope it was valuable for everybody as it was for us.
I loved it. I appreciate you both. Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
But when he calls me sugar, I love that man with all my might. Sugar in the morning, sugar in the afternoon. Sugar after dinner, sugar in every room. He says I'm sweet as I can be. When he calls me that name, it does things to me. I tell him, honey, you can call me sugar.